Okay, so what I'm going to show you in this video is how you can fade different audio sources into one another, how you can basically fade something out, fade something up, how you can mix things together. And this kind of technique would be used in a lot of different situations. For example, if you want to have audio sort of underneath somebody as they're talking and then kind of fade it up after they finish talking, or start with audio that's full blast and then fade it under a little bit. This is how you can do that. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do using these techniques. What I have here as an example is audio that I recorded at the county fair that I've talked about before. And I've got 5 different audio clips. I've got audio of a chicken, or I guess it's a rooster actually. I've got auctioneer audio. I've got either a sheep or a goat, I'm not sure which. I've got a tractor, and then I've got a steam engine. And what I did was I recorded these 5 different clips with my audio recorder. They were originally 5 different audio clips, and what I did was I more or less edited them into a single track up here at the top, and I'm not going to go over how I did that because it is covered in the previous video. But essentially what I have across the top here are my 5 different audio clips that I have then, in these bottom 2 channels, sort of mixed together and faded them in and out from one another. And you can see the fading that's going on by just sort of looking at these lines here. Wherever you see, something kind of curving up or curving down like that, it basically means, like, for example, this is fading out, this right here is fading in. And so I'm going to go ahead and press the home key, and I'll play this little snippet that I've put together for you of these 5 different clips.
Head 2, are you going to get $200? Get $100 a head. Are you going to get 1 and $100 to a head on me?
Okay, so there you go. And what we have done here, as I said, is we've mixed both of these on these bottom 2 audio channels here. This top channel is where I'm keeping more or less my raw material. The reason we're not hearing it, of course, is because I have the mute button selected here, which means that this isn't going to play. So in order to duplicate this, to show you how to do it, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these 2 audio tracks here, and we're going to redo them. So, to insert audio tracks, we go up to Tracks, Add New Audio Track, and I'm going to select 2 of them. And I will also point out that I already have a project file set up in Audacity, and we're running in that. So again, that's always a good idea to have that going. And the first thing that I want to do is get my chicken audio, which I am pretty sure is this second track right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight it, drag my mouse over it, and then do Control-C to copy. I'm going to come down here, press the home key, and then do a Control-V to paste. I can also use these commands up here under the Edit menu. Copy is Control-C, paste is Control-V. I just find it much, much easier to use the keyboard shortcuts, so that's what I'll be doing. And what I've done there more or less is pasted that audio track. And if we listen to this, I more or less want to start fading it right after that first crow. So what I'm going to do is come up here and select the envelope tool, and then the envelope tool, you'll notice, makes these little blue lines appear at the top and bottom of an audio clip, and that represents the audio level. So what I'm going to do is, normally when we're fading audio out, we're going to do 2 what are called nodes. And nodes are kind of the points that are going to control like where the audio fades. So I'm going to do my first node right here, right after that crow, and then just move a little bit ahead and do the second one. And then once you have them, you can just click and hold them, and you can just sort of fade it out like that by just sort of dragging the mouse down and to the right. It gives me a nice fade out of the audio. And you can make this sort of like any shape that you want, depending on what you're doing. But what I want is sort of a nice, linear sort of fade out like that. And then if we want to hear what this sounds like, I hit the home key and then the space bar. Okay, so there you go. You hear the audio of that one fading out. Okay, so my next one is going to be the auctioneer, and the auctioneer is actually this last clip right here. So I am going to drag my mouse over that, highlight it, Control C to copy, come down here, and I want to put this one in this bottom audio track, because essentially what we want to do is sort of crisscross these from one audio track to the other. And I'm just going to click my mouse there and do Control V. And then what I want to do is use the time shift tool, which is right here, and just drag this one over so that it more or less begins right where the other one is starting to fade out. So about right there. Then come back to the envelope tool, and we're going to do one node right there. And then we're just going to do another one about right there. This time we're going to grab this first one, because what we want to have happen here is like a fade in. So I do that, a little fade in, and then we can press the home button here, and then we can hear what this sounds like. Okay, so that's not bad. So then what we would want to do is, after the auctioneer is up for a couple of seconds, I would just start to fade him out, like let's say like about right here, and then do another node at the very end, and then drag this bottom one down about like that. And now we're ready to bring in the third clip, which is the angry sounding sheep or goat. And once again, what I'm going to do is do my selection tool, and I'm going to come up here and grab the sheep or goat, which is this first clip, do Control C. I am then going to paste it here. And what I want to do is I actually want to get rid of a little bit of this first part, like before the goat actually gets angry, because if you listen to this, a couple of seconds where it's just kids talking before you hear the goat. So I want to get rid of a little bit of that, and so all I need to do to make that happen is just drag my mouse over a little bit of it, about like that, highlight it, and then just hit the delete key, and it gets rid of it. And I'm going to then use my time shift tool to move this in up against the previous clip, then come back to my envelope tool, and we're going to put an envelope node. You kind of have to, sometimes the mouse, like where the mouse isn't where you think it's going to put the node. So I'll do that and do another node right there, and this one once again is going to fade in. So I'm going to kind of drag this down, okay, as much as I can. There we go. And then let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like. And I'll just start this from the beginning. Alright, he's an angry sounding goat. So, the other thing I want to do here, just for giggles, is you'll notice just by looking at the waveform here, when the goat does his noise, it's very loud, and then there's sort of like just nothingness in between. What I'm going to do is cut out this middle part so that we kind of just hear two nice big, whatever you call that noise that the goat makes, more or less one after the other. So all I've done is dragged my mouse and highlighted that middle portion, hit the delete key, and then that more or less brings them together, and we can hear what that sounds like here. All right, you get the idea. So we're going to go ahead and put a couple of nodes in here to fade this one out. So like right after this second one starts, we'll put a node there and a node there. Drag that down. And then my next one is going to be the tractor audio. And the tractor audio happens to be this one right here. So I do my select tool, and then I'm just going to drag my mouse over this, do Control C to copy. This one's going to go down in this bottom channel. So I do Control V to paste. and use my time shift tool to line it up about right there where the audio fade from the previous track starts. And once again, use the envelope tool to put a node here. Make sure that it actually puts the node in. You can see that it's not exactly cooperating. There we go. And then a node in here. And then I'm going to drag that down about like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put in a few seconds later my fade out, which is more or less going to be about like this. So I'm going to kind of drag that over. And you can see that what happens here is if you've got like too much left at the end, you end up with kind of this fishtail look, which I don't really want. So I'm going to do Control-Z to undo that. And if you want to get rid of a node, so for example, like let's say that I had a couple of extra nodes here that I didn't want, what you can do is just click and hold that node and just drag your mouse off of the track, and you can see that it gets rid of that node. So I do want this node, but I want to put another one, like let's say, well actually I want to do it at the end. That's where we had the problem before. So let me do the node here kind of at the end, as near to the end as I can. And click, click, okay, and then drag this down to kind of fade it out like that. And so then there is my tractor sound. And then finally we are going to get the steam engine sound, which happens to be this track right here. So I'm going to highlight this, drag my mouse over that, Control-C to copy. This one is going to go up here in this track. So I'm going to click my mouse right about here so that it pastes it right about where this audio begins to fade out, and do Control-V. If I need to shift it a little bit, I can use the time shift tool, but that looks pretty good. And then once again, envelope tool. We're going to do a node here, a node here, and then let it up for a couple of seconds, and then another node at the beginning and end. So this first node is going to be a fade in node, so it's going to fade in like that. We're going to bring this one back up to full volume, this one back up to full volume, and then finally this one is going to be our fade out. So there you go. And then I'm going to do the home key and I'll play this piece of brilliance for you.
Get two, head two. Are you going to get $200? Get $100 a head. Are you going to get one? And $100.
Okay, and that gives you a little bit of a sense of some of the sounds of the county fair. And like I said, it's more or less just a matter of using the envelope tool, using the time shift tool to take the different tracks and move them into two different audio channels, and then sort of overlap them and fade them in and out from one another. That's basically what the process is. And then if I want to actually export this, when you go to File and Export, it's more or less going to export any tracks that aren't muted. So that means, like right now, if I exported this, it's going to export this channel and this channel because this one's muted, which is what I want, which is more or less going to give me these two audio channels here. So I would just go up to File and Export, as we've done before, save as an MP3 file, and then put it in our appropriate folder, and we would be finished. So there you go. That's how you do that.